You are listening to Productivity Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after productivity coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives entrepreneurs the straight talk on personal productivity. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the Productivity Specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to Productivity Straight Talk. Today's episode 82, Powerhouse Pairs, when entrepreneurs partner in love and business, with Marla Mattenson and Julian Colker. If you are an entrepreneur who wants actionable solutions to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. I'm really looking forward to bringing this episode to you because you're going to meet our guests, Marla and Julian. Marla and Julian are the co-creative relationship and intimacy expert team with over 38 years of combined experience as coaches, educators, and students of the craft. Drawing from a unique background in neuroscience and mathematics, Marla is uniquely gifted at working with entrepreneurial couples to transform their negative habitual patterns. With over 15 years of training in emotional intelligence and mind-body connection, Julian uses play and lighthearted sensitivity to help couples bridge their differences. Together, this powerhouse pair is creating a world where deep intimacy, powerful vulnerability, and dedication to the truth are backbones of success in business and life. They have been featured in NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, Forbes, Entrepreneur Online, among many, many more. When listening in on my conversation with Marla and Julian, you will discover the winning combination you need to be a powerhouse pair, how to measure if your partner's passion for entrepreneurship measures up, the biggest dangers entrepreneur couples need to watch out for, rules for sharing experiences that will uplift the relationship, what can happen if either the business or love stops flourishing, the biggest obstacle in every human's life and how to conquer it. And you're going to get some sneak peek behind the scenes stories of how I briefly entertained the idea of having my husband work with me in my business and so much more. So let's dive right in and meet Marla and Julian. This episode of Productivity Straight Talk is brought to you by my very own signature coaching and training program, Stop, the Entrepreneur's Success Solution. If you are ready to stop struggling in your business and start succeeding, head on over to theproductivityspecialist.com/stop to find out more. Again, that's theproductivityspecialist.com/stop, STOP. Hello, Marla and Julian. Welcome to Productivity Straight Talk. How are you doing today?
We're doing great.
Oh my gosh, this is so awesome. So you guys are my first interview where it's 2-1. So I have my work set up for me today. I am so looking forward to having you today. You guys were introduced to me through a mutual acquaintance that said, oh my gosh, they are on fire. I think they'd be perfect for your podcast. Why don't you reach out to them? So those of you that are listening, we had a little coffee chat with no coffee, but a virtual meeting, and we really hit it off. And I cannot wait for you guys to listen to what they have to say to us today.
We're super excited to be here. Thanks for
having us, Amber.
Yes. So when you were introduced, I was like, what? Like an entrepreneur relationship expert. Like that is so niche, which by the way, offline, they were telling me how amazing niching down is. And so I'm going to take your word on it. But I was like, really? Like how many couple entrepreneurs are out there? And I had asked this in the pre-interview chat because I wanted to see how many people are really affected by this. And then before she answered, I was like, hold on. Almost all my girlfriends have their husbands working with them in some way or another. So it's quite prevalent. So share with us, how prevalent is it? Are you seeing trends with this?
Absolutely. So entrepreneur couples are on the rise, big time. And according to the US Census, 90% of businesses owned in the US are family owned. 90%. I mean, it's a little mind-boggling.
It's amazing.
And so family owned, that means it could be, father, daughter, mother, son. I mean, it could be any combination. And what we're seeing is this huge trend in couples who absolutely love each other, are in love with their business, and want to start working together. And then they do. And then the fun really begins.
Yes.
Right. Because, when you think about all that it takes to actually navigate a healthy, loving marriage, and then you think about all that it takes to navigate a healthy, functional business partnership and then put the two together, you're really in for a ride. And I love that you have become such an expert in this place because it gives entrepreneurs the resources, or even to know like, oh, I could purposely be working on this thing. Like, it doesn't need to be difficult. It doesn't need to like wreck my marriage or strain my marriage. Like, there's a solution. So why don't you share with us, like, why do you think that so many entrepreneurs want to work with their spouses right now?
I think the key is that entrepreneurs are dedicated to a growth-based life. And if both entrepreneurs or both people in the relationship are a growth-based mindset, then you can really take off and really make some powerful things happen in the world. If one person is of a growth-based mindset and the other is not, it really slows things down a lot. And so for entrepreneurs, when they have the ability to move fast and with their partner all in one, it's sometimes a knockout.
Yes.
That's amazing when it works.
Okay, you just gave me chills because we were talking offline about if my spouse is involved in my business and he's not, and we gave it a short run, probably a story for another day. But when you say that when both partners have a growth mindset, it gave me chills because while we have not seen a fit or explored the fit of having my husband in my business, technically, on payroll or as a partner, he 100% has a growth mindset. And I've often looked at that and said, how do you have that and not an entrepreneur, right? Like, I'll go to him and talk to him about maybe a money investment or a business opportunity or a risky thing. And he's like forward thinking. And I'm like, oh, you're such a great sounding board. Why aren't you an entrepreneur? Like, I kind of always end it with that, right? Because now I see some of my other peers having issues in their marriage with the spouse that's not an entrepreneur, that doesn't have the entrepreneurial mindset. And they're like, why are you doing that? That's so risky. Why are you reinvesting all the money? When are we getting money back out of the business? Like, they don't understand the whole ride of entrepreneurship. So I love that you just framed it as both have a growth mindset.
Right. And Amber, I think that you have one of the best case scenarios in your relationship in that he's very clear that he doesn't want to be part of the business, and yet he'll help you when you need it. And he has that growth-based mindset. So he has the entrepreneur mindset without the strong desire to actually be an entrepreneur. And yet he totally supports you in your expansion and your growth. And so that's a total winning combination.
Okay, awesome. Well, I feel like it's a winning combination for sure. It's definitely worked for us. And so I'm very, very blessed with that. But I've also seen the need to fill them in. Like, you go to a conference, right? And you're like on this high from a conference. You've learned these things. You've got bigger goals. You got more things that you're going after. You're growing personally because, like, I obviously truly believe that entrepreneurship is the biggest personal productivity growth that we're going to have. What does that look like when our spouse might not be on that same journey? And the biggest fear, we're kind of getting off track, but I'll be totally transparent. One of the biggest fears I had in my business of huge success was how it would negatively affect my marriage if it would. What does that look like when I'm doing X, Y, and Z and he's not in that same place, or if he doesn't understand it, or I'm making more money? And I had to work through all those stories to realize it was garbage. And my husband's like, yeah, be my sugar mama. I don't care. He didn't have the same issues that I had all up in my head. So anyways, I just thought I would just share that in case anyone else that's listening is that, maybe bringing your husband in or your spouse, sorry, there's women and men listening, bringing your spouse into your business might not be the best fit. But if it is, we would love to hear what that looks like. How do you know when your business and or your relationship are ready for taking the plunge and partnering?
Awesome. We are super excited about this question. They're super excited. So there are a few things. Number one, if both of you love the business, there's a serious amount of passion from both of you. and you both want to build an empire. Whatever that empire is, it could be a small empire, it could be a huge empire, it could be a worldwide international empire, but you both want to build and you want to do it together, right? That's number one, that you have the passion, the purpose, and the desire, that both of you have that. Yes. If that's the case, that's a good sign you want to move forward. The second thing is that you have the ability to swap roles. And what we mean by that is the alpha is the one who's going to drive most of the time. And then Julian coined this term,
the power beta.
That's awesome.
So the power beta is also an alpha, but has the ability to follow, unlike some of the traditional alphas. So the power beta has the ability to lead, and then it has the ability to follow. So if the traditional alpha is got the direction, power beta slides right behind in a supportive role. And if the power beta has a clear direction, he taps the alpha and says, we're going in this direction, or she says, we're going in this direction. And then the alpha slides into the power beta position, and the power beta slides into the alpha position, and away we go.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Like, again, okay, chills, because the only way I can express that you've literally put words on how my actual marriage at home works, because we're both very strong-willed, right? But he's like got a quiet leadership to him, and I've got a more like the normal alpha female leadership. And so you wonder, like, how do we not bump heads? And the truth is we literally know each other's strengths and weaknesses, coupled with what he cares about and what I care about. And we're literally tapping each other on the things that one of us is going to lead on or the other person's going to lead on. Oh my gosh, great visual. So if we can do that in personal life, we're saying, how do you do that in your business?
Right.
And both people feel like they're contributing, right? Like to the whole goal and equally.
So in our relationship and in our business, I'm the alpha in the business. I have most of the drive and the direction and the ambition. That's one of my roles. Unless, as Julian said, sometimes he's like, no, we're going in this direction. And I immediately follow because he has amazing intuition and he always knows if he has a strong direction hit, we take it and it always works out. In the business, I tend to be more of the alpha role and he's power beta. And in our relationship, he's the alpha and I'm the power beta. And so we take his direction most of the time in the relationship. And then sometimes in the relationship when I have a strong direction. So I think that the ability to swap roles is incredibly important if you're thinking about going into business together. So that's the second thing.
Okay. So before we get to the next one, if you have a next one, let me go back to number one, because I have a question. Do you both have the passion? So how do you actually measure if you have like equal passion or someone's like, yeah, I'm passionate, but it's nowhere compared to the other person? Because it's a very subjective feeling, right? So how do you test that or really know if it's equal passion that's going to take the business forward?
You're never going to have the same level of passion. So it's not about comparing and making sure it's equal. It's more about saying, do you both have passion in that direction? And here's one way to test it to see if it's actually there. What do you spend your time outside of the business talking about? When Julian and I are outside of the business, we're still talking about ways to move forward. We're talking about expansion and things that are more esoteric, but that will still drive the business forward and expand us as individuals and as a couple and in community. So if you're still passionate about the business in any form outside of so-called business hours, it's a great sign that you both still want to talk about it outside of business hours.
When Marla and I first played with the idea of working together, it was actually in Paris. She was leading a retreat in Paris and I came to visit, and we were in the hotel lobby and it was 2 a.m. and we had realized that we were working together for like 4 hours, just going over stuff like we had lost all track of time and space. We were just in this zone. We were in the flow. We were working and we kind of looked at each other like, it's 2 a.m. We should get to bed. And it was like, whoa, what just happened there? We just did something crazy. Like we lost track of everything and just fell into the flow of each other. And that was the real indicator to me of, oh, there's something special here. There's something here that I'm not getting fed in my other business. At the time, I had a real estate firm. So I shut that down and joined forces with Marla because it was so palpable. It was the thing that I had to do.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I know you have more to share. We will get back to it. So we're going to call this an intermission because I always think like, what if I was driving in the car listening to the interview? What question would I really want to ask? So I want to ask you one more question about like how this happened. How long were you married when this overnight in Paris happened? And then also, how long had you been in business, Marla, when this experience happened between the two of you?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay. So we're not officially married. We are life partners, love partners, business partners in all ways.
We have a soul contract. We don't really care much what the state of California has on record.
I love it. Okay.
We got a soul contract.
Yeah. You don't need California tracking you down.
No, we don't. No. We were together for, how long were we together for? Was that a year?
A year and change.
A year and change when that happened. And I have been in business for over 23 years. So the truth is that what I had been teaching and guiding for most of that time was very beautiful work, and yet mostly intellectual understanding of relationships and business. And when Julian entered into the picture, I got a real experiential knowledge of what is this thing called relationship, and how do you really navigate to live a life of freedom together where he can literally say anything to me and I will receive it with love and grace and a thank you for sharing. And we will talk about it until we both feel satiated by the conversation. And same the other way around. I can say anything to him. So to put everything into an experiential form really took some time together, and then turned it around to really say, okay, yeah, it's time to go into business together now.
Yeah.
And so he joined the company full time pretty much right after that.
Mm-hmm.
There was a level of excellence and integrity that I demand in my business for myself and anyone who works with me.
And in your life.
And in my life.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right. It's not just business. I appreciate that. And Julian was totally turned on by that. That was a big yes.
Yeah. Excellence and integrity are so sexy on this woman.
I love it. Okay, that's awesome. So we can literally envision you guys staying up in Paris and you're like, oh my gosh, this thing just struck us. And you took action quickly. And now here we are today. I love that story. So just to recap, so number one was that you both are passionate about the businesses. And then number two is that you can swap roles of alpha and power beta. Love it. Love it. Okay. Is there another one? I wasn't quite sure. Okay.
We have one more. And there's a whole long list, but the three main ones are, here's the third one, which is you're both available for creating clearly defined roles in the business. So when I talked about swapping roles, the alpha and the power beta, that's the energetic of the relationship in the business. And now we're talking about actual defined roles. So I'm the CEO and Julian,
I'm the CCO, Chief Creative Officer.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Okay, great.
Right. And so we have like what that all entails, and it's always growing and changing as we're developing more and more, and as we're onboarding more people into the business. And so to be available for really defining your roles instead of just jumping in, the real truth is we just jumped in and then we created the roles. We learned over time that really the best way to do this is what's everything that needs to get handled in the business, right? You write a big old list. Everybody's got that list. Here's everything that needs to be handled. Now, if you could have your total ideal role, which ones of those items on the list would you absolutely love to do, to handle, to oversee, to make sure they followed through, etc.? Put those on your list. And then your partner puts the other roles on their list. There can be crossover, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Then what's left is all the things that neither one of you really want to do. So then you take that middle list and you say, okay, what am I willing to handle until such a time that we can onboard a proper person because the business is making enough money that we can onboard somebody to handle that. Then each of you takes, okay, I'm willing to handle these things. I'm willing to handle those things. Then there's still usually a shit list. Can I say that?
Yes, absolutely.
There's the shit that neither one of us wants to do. And immediately, like the first order of business is handling, let's hire one person to handle all of that stuff, right? Yeah. And so that list is, okay, I'm willing to take that on for 30 days. After that, I'm not going to do it. And so we literally need to hire somebody immediately to handle those things. It could be a personal assistant, it could be a virtual assistant, it could be a financial person. Usually those are the things that most people don't want to handle in their business, and they shouldn't be, right? Some expert should be handling that. And so that's the best way to enter into the conversation, because otherwise what typically happens that we see quite often is there's a ton of things that need to get done. One person owns the business and is basically delegating and saying, hey, babe, if you're going to be in the business, I need you to handle this, and this, and just do it. And then we don't treat our partners with a lot of kindness and softness. How we would treat an employee, we don't treat our partners like that. We treat them a little bit more like, hey, do this, demand it.
Right.
And so the idea is that you view your partner as a proper employee or independent contractor whom you treat with respect. And you ask questions, you don't demand things. And Julian and I have gone through all kinds of phases with that because I have a demanding demeanor and I like to get shit done. And so it's been an interesting and amazing journey. And this is one of the things I actually really love about being in business together is I get to use the business as a real self-growth tool to really see the truth of how I show up. And sometimes I show up phenomenal and other times not so much and a little controlling and a little demanding and a not so kind tone in my voice. And he's amazing when I do that.
And part of the reason we're able to do that is that we have the benefit of the doubt for each other. It's like neither one of us is ever thinking that the other one is going to cause harm or intentionally cause harm.
Right.
And so the benefit of the doubt is given and respected. And it's really beautiful when you just can be free to let it go and not be concerned with, oh, I have to filter this through so it can be received in a certain way. There's a certain freedom in just like, here it is. It's ugly. It's disgusting. But together, let's get through it. Because what Marla and I practice and what we teach is that it's always Marla and I against the problem, never that Marla or I are the problem.
Yes, great mindset shift around that. So I love that you guys are balancing each other out. And the fact that you said that each person needs distinct roles, which means there is ownership of the tasks and activities and responsibilities. And it's not really common where think of a traditional CEO and CCO or COO or whatever executive titles there are. It's supervisory. It's respectful. They see them as professionals. They are going to take responsibility. When they get together, they're collaborating and they're figuring out problems together. It's not a subordinate where it's like one here and one's dictating their day and how they're running their time and how they should be doing the work. They're really trusting they're a professional. That's their lane. Let them do the thing.
Yes. And the idea there is that when you assign roles for each other, meaning I'm assigning my own role for me and he's assigning his role for him, you want to attach the role to an outcome. So you become responsible for an outcome. So for example, Julian oversees our social media. And so he runs the social media team and he attends all those meetings. I occasionally attend, and he's responsible for making sure that the outcome of social media is happening, it's growing, it's et cetera. So he's responsible for that. And so he makes sure that in our weekly meeting, he comes back and shares, oh, here's what's happening in social media. And also I can check and take a look, but at the same time, I don't want to have to do that. I want him to be able to fulfill the outcome. And that's what I do as well. I'm in charge of sales. I'm in charge of overseeing and making sure the finances are coming into the business in the proper way. And then that's part of my outcome.
Right. Okay. This is great. So what happens when you have had a long day at work and you've been working together and it's time to go home? When do you guys look at each other and say, okay, boundary, we're not working anymore and now we're going home? Does that exist? What do you recommend for couples that work together?
I mean, yeah, that boundary does not really exist in our home. We will do a 10-hour workday together and then turn to each other and say, hey, you want to hang out? Like, I haven't seen you all day. Like, let's just spend some quality time.
Because we've been having our business hat on.
Yes.
So the idea is that we have our business hat on during the day when we're working on business. And it feels like, oh, I haven't seen you all day because we've been working on the business. And so I want to hang out and have relationship time.
Right. Let's spend some personal quality time, not just some business quality time. So the distinction between business quality time and personal quality time is a very important one.
Yes. Okay. So I'm just picturing myself. So I work from my home office. 3, my husband comes home at 3:30. My son comes home. And so I've been wearing my business hat all day. And then I literally have to turn the hat and greet my husband. And then I get back for a little bit and I turn and greet my son when he gets home. But it's a break and focus for me. I literally have to put one hat on and take one hat off. And so let me ask you, Are you guys affectionate during the workday? Is it romantic during the day, or is it like, we got work hats on, there's no sexual harassment in the workday, and then and then you're off, and then now you got your other personal hat on?
No, we take them on and off pretty seamlessly throughout the day. We have to have a lot of fun. We have to have a lot of joy. There has to be a lot of physical connection, intimate, emotional connection. So yeah, we slide in and out quite easily.
Yeah, we do. And we put half-hour breaks in between every client. So when we have our client days, we have half-hour breaks in between, and we will get up away from the computer, walk into the kitchen, walk outside, walk down to the beach, into the water, and really take some time to just chill together and keeping that connection and that playfulness up.
Yeah.
But most people don't really have that. So we're aware, a lot of couples that work together, they don't necessarily do everything together because they have clearly defined roles that are different. Julian and I have some overlap in our roles. And so we love being creative together. We're both visionaries. And so we often will just get into creative flow together, which
often from the bathtub.
Right. So, right.
So there's the what hat am I wearing right now? Is I'm wearing both.
Nothing, no hat.
Bubbles.
That's all I'm wearing is the hat.
Exactly. Okay, this is so good. Now, I want to know, is there any more advice you can give around when do you know the particular relationship is ready? So we were focusing on when the business is ready, that there's equal passion and such. If your marriage isn't solid to start with, is this really putting fuel on the fire?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It will break up a marriage faster than anything else, or it will cause massive resentment. And what happens, and we've seen this quite often, is if resentment builds in a marriage because you've onboarded your partner into the business and they're not enjoying it and there's a lot of tension and they really don't want to be part of it, what happens is there's just a pretty serious separation that happens internally. And then if you have a business that you need to put on a good face for the world, meaning you have to come as a united front saying, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what we're offering, we work together, but things are not as wonderful at home in the relationship, it causes a lot of tension. And ultimately, energetically, you're sending out a mixed message to the world. And on an energetic level, you're basically saying, we're united, we're doing amazing together, but at home, things are not quite incredible, right? And so it causes a lot of stress for couples when they do that. And that's oftentimes couples will start looking around for someone like us to work with if they're starting to feel like, oh my God, we're putting a face on for the world, the business is doing pretty great, but we're moving further and further apart from each other because we don't have time to really hash out and work through the problems that we have going on. Maybe we don't have the money because the business is sucking up all the money. And so we don't have the money to really dedicate towards time off. And those two big issues start to become a bigger and bigger problem. So our advice here is if you start to notice in your relationship that you're moving apart from each other, even if the business is thriving and doing well, that's the time to start reaching out for support. So you can go on a weekend retreat with a coach or a therapist. You can go, you can do all kinds of programs. You can go to a spa together for the weekend. You need to have time together to incubate in your relationship just as much as spending time in the business.
Yes. Okay. That is great information because I think that the idea of, I think I have a really healthy relationship with my husband. And I thought, okay, if I bring him into the business or he joins the business, what if? A fear of a business owner is firing an employee as it is. Like nobody likes that hat, right? And then you think, okay, so what if I tried this? And I can only think that the best way to try that is to say, this is a trial. We're going to figure this out. And if it's not working for both of you, you kind of part ways so nobody feels, all the negative things that could come with that situation and then still have to be married. And so have you seen entrepreneurs that literally said, you know what? This isn't working together. My marriage is more important and just decide to part ways. Is that part of the solution if they're looking for a way forward?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The real truth is if you love each other, then the relationship needs to be primary. Because what's the purpose here in life? The purpose is not just to have an amazing, thriving business, getting your message out into the world. the purpose of your life is also to have an amazing connection with your partner and to develop that and grow that as a way to know yourself on a deeper level and to know your partner and build compassion and understanding and tolerance for each other. You mentioned earlier, when you go to a conference and he's not there, what do you come home and share? What do you do? I mean, I've found that quite often with Julian, if I was traveling and going to a conference and I'd come home and he'd say, so how was it? What was it all about? And I kind of was like, it was amazing. It was great. It was, just very mushy with details I wouldn't share because not on purpose, but just because if you're not there, it's hard to relay the impact of what's happened. And also I didn't want to bore him with details. And so the key there is when you're coming home from an experience that was very personal for you and you had an amazing time, choose one or two important things that you want to bring back and share with your partner that's going to also uplift your partner, that's also going to uplift the relationship in some way. Like, hey, I realized this at the event, and here's how it relates to our relationship, so that they care when you come home, right? And then you want to just start loving your partner for what they bring to the relationship. Because entrepreneurs in general are a bit of on the narcissistic side. Let's just say that.
What can you do for me?
Hey, what can you do
for me? So that I can share my message with the world, but for me first.
Yeah, we're kind of a bit of a narcissistic crowd. And I think there's a benefit to that. And yet in relationship, if that's all that you're moving from, the place of narcissism, that's a real problem. And so you want to make sure that you're always reserving some percent of your energy by the end of every single day to bring back to your relationship, whether it's your partner, your child, your children, right? Whoever is living in your house, whom you love, and your animals, right? You want to reserve some energy, time, and attention and passion for them.
Yes.
Help them and be with them and be present.
Yes. Okay, that's really good. All right, I want to switch gears for a second and I just want to ask you, so your day-to-day working with your clients, right? So you're both working with clients in coaching and training. What are some common topics or obstacles that they're working with you on to improve their business relationship and their personal relationship?
Well, the number one thing is mindset. The biggest obstacle in every single human's life. That's a bold statement. And I'm
dittoed. I agree 1,000%. You don't even have to finish it, like to 1,000%.
Right?
Yes.
Is your mindset, because whatever you believe you can do or accomplish or have in your relationship, in your business, guess what? You're right. Whatever you believe. Mm-hmm. If you believe you can't have it unless there's a struggle, if you believe that if you're magnificent out in the world, then your relationship is going to suffer. If that's what you believe, guess what you're going to get?
Yes.
Right.
And that's why it's worth working through those stories and call BS on them. That's what I had to do. Yes.
Exactly.
That was what I shared with you, was huge breakthroughs that I had rapidly once I was faced with even realizing those were my issues. Something had changed, right, in my business and life where I was like, whoa, where did those beliefs come from? Oh, they were there. And then I was faced with them to determine what was I going to do with them. Call BS on them or let them run my business. So yes, mindset, 1,000%.
Great. Yeah. The mindset is the biggest obstacle. So the recommendation there is ask yourself, what do I really believe? And guess what? Here's the fastest way to see in real time what you believe. Your actual life. What have you manifested? What is your relationship like currently? What is your business like currently? What are your bank accounts currently? What does your home look like currently? What is your car, your mode of transportation? What is happening in your physical body currently? That is the fastest way to see the truth of what you actually believe. Because what you've already manifested is the sum result of everything from your past. And that is what is manifest now. Now, if you want something different in one of those areas, if you want to lose weight, if you want more money in your business, if you want more passion in your relationship, then you need to take whatever you see in your life, look at the truth of it, fully accept it, and say, wow, I created that, take responsibility for it, and then shift what? the mindset
Yes.
into, okay, here's obviously what I believed in the past, because this is what I have now. To make room for something new, I'm going to shift my mindset over here, and I'm going to start believing these new things. I'm going to believe that I can have $10,000 a month in the business, $100,000 a month in the business, $1 million a month in the business. And then I'm going to put the structures in place to make that thing happen. I'm going to hire the right coaches. I'm going to onboard people in the company, etc. Right?
Yes.
And then in the relationship, same thing. If you want more passion in your relationship, you bring it. Don't wait for your partner to bring it. You bring your own turn on. Everyone is responsible for their own turn on. He's not responsible for my turn on. He can help, but I'm responsible for my turn on.
Yes.
To remind our entrepreneur couples, you're putting so much time and attention into your business. How much time and attention are you putting into your relationship? How much love are you intentionally putting into the relationship? And then when you frame it like that, they're like, oh.
Yes, there's so many nuggets here, even if someone listening isn't working with a spouse, because I think it's so prevalent that we put everything into our business. And like you said, we don't come home with that percentage of energy and focus and passion. And then we wonder why we feel like we're conquering the world alone, because our marriages are suffering, or our relationships are suffering. And so great advice. And Marla, I've done a lot of mindset work and I have never heard it said the way you did. Thank you. That was my big aha for today. So thank you very much. Just looking at the sum total of your current beliefs is your current reality. Golden. That was really, really good.
And here's the thing, you can't argue with it. You're like, it's kind of a little off-putting when you first do it. You're like, oh, this is my current belief system.
Yeah.
Right? And then you start working with it, and then you up level and you get a different place to live, or you up level in your business, etc. Then it's time for celebration. This is now what I've created. So once you make some changes, then you really want to celebrate together and bring all of that energy that you focused, bring it together to the relationship to say, this work that we've just been doing to elevate our mindset, to, hiring a coach, etc. All of that is so worth it. Not 1 ounce of regret. And instead, big celebration. Let's celebrate our new belief system, because now look at where we live. Look at what we do. Look at our bank accounts, right?
Yes, I could see how powerful that is to partner with you guys and just explore that, right? I think a lot of people maybe get into business together reactively, maybe as a need, and it wasn't created on purpose. What does this look like? What does our relationship look like? So working with them and like dreaming, what does that look like? What do you want? What is the mindset it's going to take? And then how are you going to take the action to create that new reality? So awesome.
And by the way, when you just said, let's say out of a need, right? You onboard your partner in your business out of a need because maybe the business is really growing fast and you really do need help and you're so stressed out that you just need to have somebody that you actually trust. You know that they love you and they're going to do their best. The idea there is you say, okay, like you said earlier in this podcast, let's have a 90-day trial period. I'll onboard you as an independent contractor. And let's just see how this goes. I don't want you to feel stuck in the role. I don't want you to feel like you can't get out or that you're going to be now doing something you don't want to do. And I really need help in the next 90 days. Can you do that? Right. And so that's a great way to just onboard your partner as a trial. And then after that, the partner will have a real good sense of what is going on in the business, what needs actually have to happen for the business to thrive, and if they really actually want to be in the business.
Yes. Okay. So you pretty much summed up the story I'd shared with you off air, which is in 2017, I had this huge project. I thought my husband was the perfect fit. He's got particular strengths that are my weaknesses. And I was like, this is exactly how I'm talking to him, like cheerleader. Like, I'm so excited about this, right? So do you want to do it? And he's like, sure. Let's take a look at it. And so he started doing the trainings and like helping with this project. And every other day I was like, I wanted an update. And I was like, okay, how's the training? Do you have questions? Do you need more information? Because I run and I just wanted these results super fast. And so he graciously just let me know he doesn't think he's the man for the job and that I needed someone that would run. Okay, thank you for letting me know. And then I literally probably walked in my office and started interviews free. Like, okay, thanks for giving it a try. He was clear that whatever this was on a trial basis wasn't going to fit. And we parted ways and literally no hard feelings. Like, that was the best part. We really didn't have any hard feelings.
Yeah, that's so brilliant. You know, one of the dangers that entrepreneur couples sometimes will run into is if one partner has actually got a skill set in one area, but they don't really enjoy doing it. It doesn't make them feel good to do it, but they've got a skill set, so they'll do it. That's the sort of thing you want to offload as soon as possible. Just because you have a skill doesn't mean you should be doing it.
Yeah. You really be passionate about what you're doing, especially if you're going to co-own a business together. Otherwise, the resentment that builds towards the business and towards the partner. For example, if Julian saw me super excited every single day, which I am, you know, like coaching and doing all the things I do for the business, if he saw me in that realm and then he's feeling like, ugh, why do I have to do all these piddly tasks and everything, and she gets to have all the joy and fun, it would cause a big problem.
Absolutely.
Both partners need to feel
have joy and fun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that motto. That's like the best way to close out. Have joy and fun. So figure it out whether it's with your partner in your business or not.
Yeah.
Like have joy and fun. Okay, this has been such a great interview. I do know that you guys are up to some other things and you're super excited about some other programs you're doing. So I want to just give you a chance to talk to our audience about the unapologetic life and sales. So why don't you share with us a little bit about that?
Ooh, thank you so much. Yes. So Julian and I basically have our overarching theme in life and brand is called the unapologetic life, and unapologetic with kindness. It's not just about being a jerk. So it's the unapologetic life. In that brand, we have 3 strains of what are you doing here with an unapologetic life. One is the unapologetic relationship. And that is about living in total freedom with your partner so that you can say anything to your partner and they will receive it with love and gratitude and vice versa.
Because all feedback is love.
All of it, no matter what your partner says. And then the second thing is we have a program called Unapologetic Sales Mastery. And if any one of your listeners is interested in learning how to create a 6-figure offer for people to work with them privately, you can have them reach out through my website or through social media.
Okay.
The third one is for individual work, and we don't market this anywhere, but we both work individually with people who are dedicated to living an unapologetic life as an individual in business and to be able to access any of their dark side material and put it into a fully integrated form and put it out into the world for a business and to really make a revolution happen.
And that's called unapologetic self-inquiry.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So those are 3 ways in which people can work with you, no matter if they're working with their partner or not. But let's say I'm listening and I have a partner and I'm like, oh my gosh, we need some help. How do they find you and how do they work with you?
Yeah. So we have, my website is marlamattenson.com. We have an amazing free gift for everyone who wants to opt in. We don't send a whole lot of emails, so don't worry about that. And the opt-in is for this awesome product called The Redo, which basically teaches you how to never have to say, I'm sorry again in relationship because you ask for a redo in a particular way. It's phenomenal. And Julian's 9-year-old daughter uses it also. She's amazing.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah. And then on social media, Marla Mattenson on Facebook and on Instagram.
We are the intimacy experts. The intimacy experts.
Yeah. And that's a really fun place to follow us because we put some really great content out there.
Oh my gosh, you do. I was going to interject earlier when you said he's handling social media. You're knocking the stories out of the park on Instagram. I'm like, how does he do it? I didn't know it was you. I'm like, how do they do that? That's so awesome. It looks great. All right. So that is amazing. We will link to all of that in the show notes. So again, you can always find the show notes at the Productivity Specialist / the episode number, which I don't know what that is. I'll tell you on the outro if you're listening, guys. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. It was such a treat that you both wanted to join and have the interaction between the two of you and really share some insights that I think that a lot of partners or potential entrepreneurs wanting to potentially partner with their spouse could get so much insight from you guys and inspiration. I'm watching them. And so when I asked if there was affection during work hours, that was kind of a joke because they're hugging each other. And like I can totally see the love between the two of them. And I just wanted to share that with you guys that you really can see it's just fun and joy. So it's been my pleasure. Thank you for being here on Productivity Straight Talk.
Thank you so much.
Are you ready to power up your productivity? Get clarity and insights to move your business forward? Of course you are. It's time to achieve success in a big way, and I've got good news for you. You're only one step away from your success breakthrough. Apply today for your free productivity power-up at successbreakthroughsession.com. Head on over to successbreakthroughsession.com. Well, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. They were so amazing to interview and see together and their energy and what they had to share with us. I have loved having you listen to this episode of Productivity Straight Talk, but I need to be straight with you. No change, no change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. So based on what you learned, what will you take action on today? Now, even if you have no intentions of bringing your love partner, your spouse, whomever into your business, I felt like there was a lot of ahas in here about how to navigate healthy relationships. And there's a lot to take back to our relationships. And I loved that she had highlighted that there's all different types of support. And as you heard, my husband is an amazing supportive partner. And his role right now just isn't in the business, but I have found that it has helped me immensely in my business. So how and what action do you need to take so that you can get the support that you need from your loved ones? I would love to hear what you thought of this interview and what some of your actionables and takeaways were. So join us on over inside our Productivity Straight Talk private Facebook community. I cannot wait to hear what some of your actionables and ahas are. If you're not already a member, you can join us for free by going to productivitycommunity.com. Again, that's productivitycommunity.com. And I want to thank you so much for leaving me reviews. And if you have not yet left a review, I am asking for you to take the time to leave me a review on iTunes. It is so helpful in having others find the podcast and grow the podcast, but it also helps me know what you are finding valuable. I have a special thank you going out to MS5TYLZ. I hope you know who that is because it's just their username on iTunes. But they recently said, this podcaster blew me away with her no-nonsense approach and abundance of downright useful information. I was able to implement several of her techniques into my daily routine. Impressed with her passionate and genuine delivery. Lastly, as a content creator myself, I can appreciate the attention to detail and effort that went into production and execution of such high quality audio product. Great info and easy to listen to. Subscribe today. Oh my gosh, I so wish I knew your name. And if you are recognizing this review, please send me an email to amber@theproductivityspecialist.com so that I can properly thank you for leaving this review. You know, these types of reviews and feedback actually give me the passion and energy to push forward because you know what? You're right. It does take a lot of work to pull together such high quality content for you each week, but I love it. I'm often asked about my experience with podcasting, and you would think I have a love affair with it. I completely love showing up and doing this each week. I feel like it was my calling, and I cannot believe it took me so long to find podcasting. So I am marrying the love of podcasting and the love of productivity and the love of serving entrepreneurs. And I couldn't imagine a better place to be each week, but with you. So thank you so much for this review. And if you have not left a review or subscribed, please do so. You can also share this episode or any episode, whichever episode is your favorite, with anybody. Click the share button and you can send it to them via Facebook Messenger, email, or even a text. And that is going to help us get the word out and grow Productivity Straight Talk. So that's my straight talk for you today. And until next time, have a productive week.